Welcome to Contact. My name's Jeff Bryant. I'm the proud owner of Bryant's Isshinryu Karate. And today we have Dan Kuzanoff from Lapeer, from Dragon Karate. He's going to be on with us. He's brought a few students, and he's going to go over some sport karate drills as well as some kickboxing drills. With Bryant's Karate, if you're looking for a nice karate school, we're here in Oxford, 29 North Washington. And come by and check us out for one free week. Thank you. Welcome back to Contact. I'm Jeff Bryant. I'm here with Dan Kuzanoff from Dragon Karate. How are you today, Dan?
Very good, thank you.
All right. Dan's going to be here and he's going to go over some sport karate techniques, but first I'm going to interview him, ask him a few questions about his karate background. How long have you been into martial arts?
About 35 years. I started when I was 6 years old.
6 years old?
Yep.
Was you as good at 6 years old as you are now?
No, I was pretty clumsy actually, so
Yeah?
it takes time to develop those skills. But I feel through martial arts, it gained a lot of confidence and discipline that helped me. So.
Okay. Who was your first instructor? Who'd you train with?
I actually trained with Wally Barnes in Davison, Michigan, and that was my first instructor for about the first 10 years of my training.
Okay. And what other types of things do you do? I know that you ventured out, you do a little jiu-jitsu, you do some other stuff.
Yep, I started training in jiu-jitsu about 14 years ago. I hold a black belt under Marcelo Montero. Brazilian jiu-jitsu is a big commitment. It takes a long time to get. I know at a lot of martial arts schools you'll go in and you can get your black belt in 2 to 3 years, but in Brazilian jiu-jitsu it takes a lot more commitment. So it took me about 13 years to get my black belt.
Yep. And how do you get rank in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Is it, you have to do, because I know in like the martial arts you have to do a certain number of forms or katas and self-defense. Is it kind of the same way? You have to learn a certain groups of movements? Or?
Yeah, it's not just learning the movements though, it's actually being able to apply the movements in combat. So when you're actually on the mat rolling with another individual or practicing your techniques, you have to show that you're actually able to do them with somebody else, not just know them. So I think that's one of the things that's a lot different in jiu-jitsu is that in normal karate, you have to know the forms and patterns, but in jiu-jitsu you have to actually be able to apply that knowledge on somebody else. So.
Okay. With that, how many black belts are there in the Michigan Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Not many, right?
Jiu-Jitsu, there's probably about, I would say, between 10 and 15 black belts in Michigan for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's really hard to get your black belt. It takes an extreme amount of commitment.
Yeah.
So.
How many black belts do you think there are in karate in the state of Michigan?
Too many.
Too many?
Okay. There's a few. I would say honestly, there's probably about maybe 300 or 400 legitimate black belts in Michigan. The other ones, I would say that they got their black belt, but how hard they work for it is another issue.
Yeah, it's a little bit easier to get your black belt in karate, but I do know, like you said, a lot of people that have trained in jiu-jitsu and even judo, where it takes them many years. I know that. How long at your school? I know, like here at Bryant's Karate, you're about 4.5, 5 years before they get a black belt.
Typically, about 4 years is normal. Everybody's a little bit different though, because some kids are more athletic, so they can pick up on the movements a little bit faster. Some it takes a little bit longer, so we really don't put a time frame on it. But typically, a normal person would take about 3 to 5 years. Is pretty normal. Then
you have the kids that come 5 days a week versus the kids that come 2 days a week, right?
Absolutely.
So they're going to get twice as much training.
Yep.
Okay. Well, what got you motivated in starting doing sport karate? I know that, and let's talk about some of the championships that you won. So.
Well, I'm a 13-time world champion. I've actually competed all over the world in Germany and in Scotland, really all over the world. And what got me motivated to compete was I wanted to make a name for my school. I wanted to let everyone know that I was a very qualified martial artist, and I thought through doing martial arts competition that would show that. So.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons. And the other thing is I get frustrated with a lot of instructors that they're out there and I hear them yelling at their students and trying to tell them to do different things, and then I'm looking at them like, I've never seen you put on a pair of gloves. I've never seen you kick or punch anybody, and I've never seen you do a bow kata or a weapon, and so. And it takes a lot to get out there because every time that you strap on, your belt and you go out there and you compete, you could lose that day in front of your students,
For sure.
right?
For sure, yep.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good thing too to lead by example. You know, teach your kids how to win properly with respect and discipline and with honor, and then also lose. I mean, it's going to happen to everybody. You're going to lose eventually, and how to deal with that in a positive way. You know, every setback that you have in competition or in life, you just have to deal with that and make a positive out of it. So.
Okay. Is there any memorable tournaments out there for you? Something that sticks out in your head and said that was kind of like the turning point. That was the one that that I always remember that win.
Yeah, I think that me and one of my younger students, actually, Mark Odell, competed at the Bluegrass Nationals, which was, I believe, in 1994. And that's the first big national tournament that I ever won. So that really sticks out in my head. Also, too, I honestly, it's not so much my wins that I think of the most.
Yeah.
It's honestly my students' wins. And I think you can account to that, too, that, you say you have a student, Rain Fredericks, that when he wins a gold medal, it really it affects you more so than when you win it yourself.
Yeah.
And I know for me, one of the students actually that's here with us, Anthony Cotton, won his gold medal last year after several years of trying.
Yeah.
And it takes a while to get to the top, but it's determination and work ethic that finally gets you there. So.
Just so everybody kind of has an understanding, when Dan's talking about world championships out there, there's a lot of leagues out there that claim to be world champions, but you're competing against just people in the United States. There's leagues out there that will call themselves national champions, but it's just a guy that owns a karate school and he might have 15 affiliates, and those people all compete together and they call somebody from their school a national champion. The leagues that Master Cousineau talks about, and myself, as far as being world champions, is that you have to have a passport. If you don't have a passport, how can you be a world champion? Right. If you're not going to Brazil, you're not going to Portugal, you're not going to Spain, you're not competing against 23 other countries, you're competing against somebody from Detroit. Right. How do you consider that a world championship?
Yeah,
so, and I was talking with Master Plowden over in Portugal, and I was sitting down across from him, and we're looking at each other, and he said, "Do you ever think you'd ever be in Portugal?" And he goes, "Isn't it funny that karate brought us here?"
Yeah.
So for kids out there that want to, train and tour the world, I mean, karate is a great way to do that as well. We're gonna take a break, and we're gonna come back shortly. Dan's gonna go over he brought 2 students with him. He's gonna go over some bow drills and some empty hand drills for sport karate. That is going to, hopefully you can practice these things at home and get a little bit better. Welcome back to Contact. I'm here with Dan Cousineau. He's going to introduce one of his students, and he's going to go over some drills.
All right, thank you very much. Yep. Again, my name is Dan Cousineau with Dragon Karate in Lapeer, Michigan. I'd like to thank Mr. Bryant for having us up. Anthony Cotton is going to be demonstrating some sport karate drills for us today. My karate school is really well known for doing forms and weapons competition, and we're going to be demonstrating some extreme forms. We always start out with basic techniques first to have a strong foundation, and then we get into the more flashy techniques. So what I'm going to have Anthony demonstrate for me is just an axe kick jump front. Excellent. And we'll do it one more time. Excellent. So again, just using the basic techniques of a jump or a basic front kick, and then just taking it to the extreme, which would be jumping with it. Okay, so we're going to do that with another technique, which is a jump, spin, and slap, or an outside crescent kick. So he'll lead into it with an axe kick, into a jump, spin, and slap. Nice. And one more time. Very good. So you can see a lot of the techniques that we're using are jumping techniques to kind of capture the judge's attention and also the audience. So it's more of a crowd-pleasing techniques. The last one we're going to do is a spinning hook to a jackknife kick. And this is actually derived from several different styles of martial arts. The spinning hook would be more of a traditional karate technique, and the jackknife kick is actually a Brazilian capoeira technique. So. Nice. One more time. Very good. Okay. The next series we're going to be going through is more advanced, okay, where he's actually going to be jumping and flipping, okay. We add some of the extreme martial arts skills like aerials, backflips, B-twists to the forms, again, to add more difficulty to them. The basic karate techniques is always the most important in the drills, but to add the more skill level, more advanced stuff, we usually have the kids also implement some gymnastic skills with it. So let's go ahead and start out with, let's see, aerial is one of the more basic ones. Very nice. One more time, and if I could get you to do it that way. Very nice. Okay. And we'll do that one more time. And along with the gymnastics technique, it's really important also to have strong, powerful basics. So we're just going to end that with a punch and sound off. Very good. All right. And the next one we're going to do, these get more difficult as we go. And the progression that we teach is actually we go through the basics, like we just showed you with the basic kicks. Then we get into the more simplified gymnastic techniques, and then the more advanced ones. The one he's going to do this time is just it's called a B-twist. Very nice. And one more time. Excellent. Good. Okay. And then the last one that kind of everyone, it's kind of a staple of extreme forms, is a backflip. One of the things that we try to do with this is we're going from an extreme height with the backflip to a lower position where he's kneeling. Okay. Very good. And one more time. Excellent. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we'll also show you some extreme hand techniques. Okay. Not just the kicking skills are important, but actually the ability to string the hand techniques together, not just chop, punch, or block punch, but in a string of combinations. So it adds more excitement and more of a dynamic to the skills. So let's go ahead and go through first one. Very nice. Okay, and as you can see, he was hitting at different angles with different striking skills, like elbow strikes, straight palm strikes, level changes going down to his knees, and that's what really brings out the difficulty in the form. Okay, so we'll do that one more time with sound offs. Very nice, good job. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're going to take a short break, and then we're going to come back. We're going to show you Anthony's open form, and this time we're actually going to do it with music, which adds another element to it that adds a little more excitement for the crowd to watch. Excellent job. All right. And that's Anthony Cotton, 2012 World Champion.
Welcome back to Contact. You just saw Anthony Cotton, world champion, do his empty hand form. Now we have Master Kuzanov's got Avery Beaumont here. He's a brown belt that competes on the Michigan Sport Karate Circuit. He's going to be trying out for the world team this year as well. So he's going to go over some sport karate techniques with the bow.
Very good. Thank you very much. So like I said, Avery Beaumont is he's rated #1 in weapons in Michigan right now in his age bracket and for his belt level. So we're just going to show you some basic techniques. Like I was saying before, at Dragon Karate School, we're pretty well known for weapons forms as well. So we're going to start showing you some basic techniques that we do. So we're going to start out with a 4-strike to an uppercut. Nice. And one more time. Good. And as you can see, when he's doing that, there's a lot of power involved with it. You can actually hear the bow hitting off his body. And that's one of the things that we emphasize. A lot of schools will emphasize the flips and the tricks and things like that. We do that as well, but I think what sets our students apart is the fact that we really emphasize the power of martial arts skills being the #1 emphasis of the form, not just the flips and tricks. So one more time with that 4-strike uppercut. Excellent, nicely done. Okay, and the second basic we're going to do is going to be a spin to the downward strike. Excellent, good. And you can see when he steps, he puts his foot down nice and hard, so he's emphasizing good stance, good balance. Okay, one more time, please. Very nice job, okay? Excellent. So those are some basic bow techniques, and we're going to do one more called a quick turn. But one thing I just wanted to talk about for a second was some of the things that sport karate builds, like confidence in the student, and then a positive outlook when they're competing. One of the things that we always talk about with our students is that losses are going to happen. You're not always going to be the best person out there, but that's okay. You're going to go back to the school and train harder and get better from those losses. So the last technique we're going to do for this is a quick turn. Excellent. And one more time, please. Very good, very good. Okay. And now we're going to move on to some of the more extreme techniques, okay? Using the bow, you can also actually do releases, okay, or flips with the bow. So he's going to do one of the very first ones that we do, just the beginning of your form, please. Very nicely done. Excellent. And we're going to do that one more time. And you can hear he's putting a lot of emphasis into the techniques, drawing the audience into his performance. One more time. Very good. And the level of skill and coordination that it takes to actually keep your eyes on the bow and catch it relates to other sports as well. A lot of our students compete in other sports. Like one of our students just signed with Marigrove, Teresa Dre. She's one of our best students. And she's competed with us since she was about 7, and she also competes in track and field and basketball. So the skills that we use with the bow and with the stances, with the balance, positive attitude, that all helps them with their schooling and even past schooling, going to college, having that discipline to do the right thing and not submit to peer pressure and things like that. So martial arts does a lot more than just teach the kids about just the karate techniques. So the next thing we're going to do is go ahead and go with one more extreme technique. Okay, go ahead, the flip around the neck. Very nice. Excellent. We're going to do that one more time. Excellent. Very good job. Okay. And again, this is Avery Beaumont, and we're going to be demonstrating his musical form now. Nice job, Avery. Very good job. And that's Avery Beaumont, 10 years old.
Welcome back to Contact. I'm here with Dan Kuzinaw and Anthony Cotton. In the closing today, we're going to do a couple different things. The first thing that we're going to go over with is I'm going to ask Dan a few questions. We're going to have Anthony do the first movements that you did at the beginning of your segment there.
Okay.
Yep.
It was axe kick jump front.
Okay. What I was kind of curious about Dan, is what are the judges really looking for? What are the judges, when the judges see him doing that, what are they looking for? And the other thing was that I noticed that in my style of karate, when we throw our front kick, we actually curl our toes back. So in a traditional way, I'd be almost looking to be striking with the ball of the foot. And I noticed that almost all the techniques he did, his toes were perfectly pointed straight out. So
Yeah,
are those
correct.
some of the things that they're looking for?
Well, not always. With extreme weapons and forms, you're actually looking for clean lines.
Okay.
A lot of the techniques are very artistic, and you want a nice clean line. Very similar to the way that we punch in Ishinryu and in Tung Sudo. We'll punch here towards the solar plex, so it's down. But it's cleaner looking if it's straight out from the shoulder.
Yes.
And it's the same with the front kicks. As he's doing them, we also in Tung Sudo do it with the ball of the foot. But for competition purposes, we have them point their foot. It looks a little bit cleaner. Also, some of the techniques you can actually throw a little bit faster with the foot pointed. So, and the judge should be looking for speed, power, execution of technique, and the difficulty of the technique too when you're judging.
Yeah. Great. The other thing was you went over a bunch of techniques today between Avery and Anthony, but with the techniques that they did. Is there like an order that they should look at that I noticed this in most of the tournaments I'm at is they're going to do like a backflip or something is generally at the beginning of the kata because they still have the energy to do it, right?
Absolutely.
So you would suggest maybe that if somebody's going to throw one of those techniques in, is that kind of how you suggested the kids to do that?
Yeah, typically what we do is we try to catch the judge's attention right off the bat with doing a high impact technique like the backflip or a B twist. Again, when they have more energy and they can do it their very best. One of the things that we do that's a little bit different as well, we really cater the form to the person's ability levels. So not everyone can jump and is as athletic as Anthony is. So even the students that are less athletic, we find ways that they can do different techniques. Maybe not so many jumps, but we really try to cater the forms to that person's ability level.
All right, great. Well, thanks, Anthony. We're going to go into our next part of our closing. Thanks for coming. You did a great job today.
Good job, bud.
Okay. Next part of our closing today, what we're going to talk about is Master Kuzinaw wanted to talk about the qualities of looking for a good karate school. What are the things that people out there should actually look at? What do you feel that important things are?
Well, one of the main things that I always look for is a good instructor. The way the student instructor interact on the floor, if the instructor actually really cares about the student and not just cares about how much money he's bringing in every month, those are really important things. Also, too, when the parents check out a martial arts school, they should go watch the classes for a couple times and make sure that they like the way the classes are being taught. Are they being taught with discipline, with respect, teaching the kids about courtesy, not just teaching them about the punching and kicking aspect, which obviously that's very important to us, but also, with a good quality school, you need to teach them about, like I said, discipline and courtesy, respect for others. So.
Yeah. Now, what about the instructors themselves? I know that, you talked a little bit earlier when we were talking about checking their credentials. What's a good way of checking an instructor's credentials? I know if you look at my wall, I have, as well as your wall, we have our certificates on there, the people that we've been promoted by. But what's a way of checking those?
I honestly, the best way you should do it is don't just take the instructor's word for it. You should get on Google. You should get on YouTube. Most qualified martial arts schools, you can go to YouTube or go to Google and actually see what they've done in the past. So that's one of the big things that I suggest. You'll go to a martial arts school and they'll talk about how great they are. a really good martial artist won't just talk about how great he is. He doesn't do that. He doesn't boast about what he does. But if you do some background checking on him, it's a good idea to do that in my case, or in most really good instructors' cases. Their credentials are online, you know, and especially with the digital age, everyone's got a computer. You should get online and check.
Yeah.
The other big thing that I think too is an instructor should be judged by the quality of their student. You know, if the instructor is really good, it doesn't always mean that he has good students, you know. So also check and see what his students have accomplished as far as not just martial arts, but also check and see if they have like a rewards program. You know, the way that we have our school set up is that all of our students earn patches on their uniform by getting good grades in school. So we really try to not just instill good, you know, martial arts skills, but also good educational skills too. We talk about power in the body and power in the mind. So it's not just about being strong, it's about being smart as well. So.
Okay. Yeah, so, you know, back to looking, like Master Cousineau said, you know, you can always check. I mean, if somebody has a certificate on their wall, look at who signed that certificate, right? Because really, I'm only as good, or my credentials are only as good as the people that sign my certificates. Yeah. So not really the organization. To me, it really boils down to the people that signed it. So as you've seen in one of the previous episodes, I had my instructor, Jim LaRocco, here from Atlanta, Georgia. And, you know, it's easier for me to bring my instructor out and let everybody see him because I have this forum. But not only that, his name is on my certificate. He has a school in Georgia. You look at any of the stuff in our Isshinryu system, he's been around forever and he's trained under the Grand Master himself. So with those things, it's important to look at and see who is training these people and going from there.
And also, like you said about the experience factor, some of the instructors that are running schools, unfortunately, only have 4 or 5 years experience. They're more businessmen than they are just good martial artists. Yeah. Whereas instructors like yourself and I, we've been involved with martial arts our whole life, you know, for 30 plus years. So, you know, that experience really counts for a lot. You know, we've in my opinion. So.
And I've had a lot of conversations with people before about that, and when they start talking about, you know, this school versus that school, and you know, this school having a, you know, the master of the school, which isn't a master, but it's the main instructor is a 2nd degree black belt or 1st degree black belt. And people ask me, what's the difference between that school and my school? And a lot of times when you start looking at it, and Dan could tell you this, for a beginning 5-year-old student, it's probably not much. But when you want to take that student and you want to turn him into a world champion, it's like anywhere else. You don't want to be that first one. It's hard to say, okay, I'm going to get my child in here, but my child wants to be a world champion, but this guy's never competed himself or he's never done this himself. So, you know, you want to look someplace where somebody's actually achieved something. That students have, like you said, hopefully they have students that have been out there and done great things.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of times too, you know, it's not just the competition aspect of it, but it's also what those students have done in their everyday life. You know, our schools have been open a very long time, you know, mine 20 plus years. And I also look to what the students have done after their competition career has ended. You know, they go on to be school teachers or personal trainers, or they open their own martial arts schools, go off to college. That's what we're really trying to do, not just make them world champions, which obviously we want to do, but what are they doing after they've done that? We want the person to grow as a whole, not just in one aspect of their life. So one of the big pet peeves for me is, you know, we were talking about looking for a martial arts school, is how that instructor holds himself not only in a martial arts class, but in everyday life. You know, does he walk the walk? You know, is he a true martial artist? You know, does he act like a martial artist outside the dojo? Is he polite to other people? Is he courteous? I mean, things like that are important. You know, you don't want to have an instructor that is almost a bully himself.
Yeah.
You know, he tries to lead by intimidation. You know, we don't do that. So that's one of the big things you'll see in a lot of instructors. They really need to set a good example outside the martial arts school and not just in it. So.
Okay, well, great. Well, we had a great time today. Thanks, Dan, for coming.
Thank you.